we will destroy ourselves from within our country. And haven't we done that?
Hey you, I'm Andy Powell. Welcome to the Allcast Podcast. No topic is off the table. I hope you enjoy.
Okay. Well, I can move.
That should be good right there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I can turn the volume up on here afterwards, so it's good.
You won't have anything to turn it up on, but go ahead.
Hi, Grandma.
I will.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
You're making a big move, moving back up to Michigan?
Going back up to where I was born and raised. We've been in Arizona for close to 16 years at this address. And it's just time to get near our family back there.
Yeah, right on. And what was it like growing up in Michigan?
Cold.
What did you do for fun?
Oh, we did. We had the free reign of ice skating and building snowmen and playing games in the snow. It was just a wonderful childhood.
You ever build an igloo?
No.
No.
I did not have the energy to build an igloo. In fact, my snowmen were pretty sad looking, but yeah, that's what we did.
Now, when you were growing up, you were raised Catholic, is that right?
Correct.
And what was that like?
Well, when you're young, you just do what your parents tell you. And they went to church, so we went to church. And then as I got into high school, I went to Catholic schools all the way through 12th grade. You begin to start looking and you realize how precious a gift your faith is. I am so thankful that I was raised the way I was. It's got me through a lot of tough times now as I'm older.
Was there something specific in your youth that tested your faith to make you come to that realization of how precious it is?
Not so much any one thing. If something were bad at school or if there was an incident that I just couldn't comprehend, then you start praying on it. And that's what I do to this day. It's got me through my cancer treatment unbelievably.
Yeah. How long have you been fighting with cancer?
Well, it first arose I had cancer of the appendix, and it was diagnosed in December 2018. And I battled it for a good year, and then I had 3 years, which my last oncologist said that was a precious gift. I'm stage 4, so every day is a gift. I take it as it comes.
And this is still with appendix cancer?
Yes. Well, now the appendix is gone. It's probably mostly in my peritoneal cavity right now. The doctor described it as if you blow on a dandelion, it scatters. So that's about pretty much where I am. But I'm stable. My blood work comes back good. I don't think I will never be rid of my cancer.
And do they give you a reason why that's the case? Why you wouldn't heal
from what
it?
I've studied, apparently everybody has cancer cells in them. So it's a matter of, I suppose, your lifestyle. If something, my personal opinion is, if you go through stress, to me that's a trigger. And I find that true with a lot of people that I've talked to.
What was it like for your first time doing chemo treatments?
Well, the first time I did chemo, I walked into a room. There were probably maybe about 5 or 6 people in there. And I have come to find out that cancer patients are the most, I'm going to say 90% of them are the most positive, lovely people to be around. And I got a big kick out of the other day. We were sitting waiting for my appointment, and this guy came out, and he had both arms bandaged where they had drawn blood. And the other guy, and he said to general waiting room, well, I don't have a port. And this other guy, without missing a beat, said, well, I'll let you have mine. We're for the most part, we're positive people, and I think that's what gets everybody through.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yep,
and
have
coming
to be.
coming to having an experience that brings you closer to your mortality, it really helps to propel that gratitude for being alive.
And if you want something to propel your faith, cancer will do it. My prayer life has increased. So in a way, a lot of ways, I think cancer was a blessing because it increased my prayer life. You know, you get into that mode where you take everything for granted.
Yeah.
Once you get cancer, you don't.
When you're talking to God, what do you experience? Do you feel God talking back to you? Do you hear him?
Well, I'm a little stubborn, so usually I yell at him and I say, hit me over the head because I probably am not listening to you. But I just get a great sense of peace. I do get answers. I'm not sure if they're because I want that answer or because God's telling me. But there's so much you're not going to know about God until you actually see him, and that's how you go on. You know, I believe I'm doing the right thing, and I believe I'm listening to him, and that's it.
Yeah. I experienced that same thing. It's like, oh, is what I'm hearing from God or from me?
Right.
So
Right.
I
And we're
relate.
not, I don't think God gave us the knowledge to figure that out. He's
Right.
just saying, you go by faith, lady, and that's what I do.
Right on. So so you get a sense of peace, you get a tangible sense of peace in your body.
Absolutely. And
That's
the
wonderful.
greatest example I have of that is your mom, Karen. She, no matter when I see her, she is just so peaceful. And I think that's her faith.
So
She's
her
a great
faith,
example.
So her faith has propelled your faith.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
Your faith has propelled Grandpa's faith.
And around we go. Yes.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What's something significant from? Huh? Oh, how did you and Grandpa meet?
Well, his parents owned the laundromat across from my parents' hardware store. And Mike was always coming in and out. He needed a part to fix this or that. And so one night, he had gotten tickets to a Tiger baseball game. And we were working late. It had to be around 8:30 in the evening. And I thought, oh, great, we're going to get there and we're going to see one inning. But anyway, my sister and I went with Mike, and as it would have it went into extra innings. And at the time, I thought he was interested in my sister because she's a lot cuter than I am. And thankfully, he stuck with me, and 48 years later, we're still going strong.
Wow. What's been the most challenging aspect of your marriage?
Other than your dad, other than your grandpa? You know, I think when you own a business, you get a lot of stress that because I did not work at the business, you don't always understand. Raising our kids, they were blessings. We never had a lot of issues with the kids. And we were very supportive of each other. There was no, you go your way, I go my way. We pretty much did it together. Might not have started out that way, but we always ended up that way.
Right on. Solving problems together.
Yep.
Very
absolutely.
Good. Very good. Well, what's something from something in your life that's very memorable, something that taught you a lesson?
Ooh, these are deep questions. Okay. Oh. I've been blessed to have a lot of people in my life who have been excellent role models. And they say do evangelization. I've had a lot of people evangelize me. Some of them probably don't even know that's what they were doing. But I think as you meet people and you go along the way, God puts people in your life for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you do.
Yeah.
You learn something, almost you learn something new every day if you're open to it.
What's the most dangerous thing you've ever done?
The most dangerous thing I ever did, there are two things. I remember my father, who we were on a motorhome trip with him, and he probably was in his 70s at that time. And he said, "Come on, Mary, climb up this mountain with me." Well, I am afraid of heights. Well, come on, you can do this. Well, I got to the first lookout and I said, "Dad, this is it," because there was this bridge over the hole in the ground, and I said, "Nope, ain't gonna make that one." That was the first dangerous thing.
Where was this?
Probably somewhere in Canada, Mike. I think in Canada. And as much as his example of 70 years going fearlessly up this mountain, I was turning white. I just had to quit. And the other thing, it was a challenge, but whitewater rafting.
Oh, cool. Where did you do that?
We did that in West Virginia, I think.
Okay.
And it's something I probably wasn't on my bucket list, but that was fine.
What do you still have on your bucket list?
What do I still have? Just get through day to day and get through this move. Bucket list. Probably I would like to take a cruise along the eastern coast of the United States. I love cruising. I love it. I could do it. If I were healthy, I'd do it every day. But do a cruise along the east coast of the United States, and just enjoy the grandkids.
Yeah.
They are true. I always remember that phrase, "Get led by the little children." Do they lead?
Yeah, they do.
They really do.
They ask good questions.
They do. Oh, yeah, they do.
Oh.
Yes, that was my big bucket list. My mom and dad had done all 50 states, and my sister is working on it. She's only got a couple more to do, and your Mike and I did all 50 states. That was a bucket list.
Which one's the best?
Well, if it wouldn't snow, Montana would be our favorite.
Why is that?
Well, because it is truly big sky country.
Okay.
It's just beautiful. My second best would probably be Hawaii.
I knew it.
That was our last 50th state we did.
I knew you were going to say that.
And then of course Arizona and Michigan, they're beauty.
Yeah.
They have their own beauty.
Yeah. Which ones are the ones to avoid?
Oh, North Dakota.
Why?
It's just a road. It's just a road between nothing.
It's pretty flat?
Pretty flat.
Okay.
And I would probably, as much as my sister lives in New York, and as much as I love seeing her, New York, upstate New York, throws me because there's not a straight road in that state, and I have no sense of direction.
Oh.
That is one of my fears. I fear not trying things because if I get lost, I will wander for years. I would never find, a corn maze. My life has been a corn maze, and it's hard to get out of them sometimes.
What's a fear that you've had that you've been able to overcome?
Well, it isn't heights. I work on trying new things more now than I probably did when I was younger. But I just got my mom's fearful gene, anxiety. It just is there.
How do you manage that?
Just through prayer, I try and talk myself like, this isn't the worst thing that can happen. Go ahead and do it. That kind of, I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah. I had one. Where'd it go?
Oh, you sound like me now. It'll come to you about midnight tonight. You'll think of it.
That was the question.
Yeah, that was it.
Right on. You're not much involved in looking at what's happening as far as current events in the world, are you?
Well, I don't think you can be married to Mike and not be involved.
Well, you get the spillover from it.
I get the spillover.
But
one of my greatest loves is St. Vincent de Paul. In fact, I was there this morning and I got to say goodbye to one of our favorite clients. He was just a great, joyful man. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing. These people may be homeless, they may be down on their luck, but I would say a good 75% of them are positive people. They're not bitter. Oh. They just go about their lives.
Wow. How many of those people would you say are recurring customers?
Oh, quite a few.
So,
yeah.
So these recurring customers, are they not actively pursuing a way to pull themselves up?
Well, one of the rules of St. Vincent de Paul is, number one, the money is God's money. Number two, you don't want to ask them. St. Vincent's is one of the few organizations where they can just come and be.
So you give for the sake of loving kindness.
Exactly.
And you don't ask them, hey, have you been looking for a job? Or
No.
Okay.
No, and some of them will tell you, some of them aren't looking for jobs, but it doesn't matter. If they're there, they need help, and that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been working with them?
Oh, let's see. We've lived here, so probably a good 14 years,
Wow.
And I got involved again. Your parents are such fine examples. That's how I got involved. My mom and dad were true Vincentians, and when you see your parents doing good things, it just rubs off on you. Well, I know Mike doesn't like this, but it takes a village to raise a child. It really does.
Yeah, it does.
You need support.
Yes. What's been the greatest part about raising children?
Oh, the greatest part about raising children is to see their naturalness, their unencumbersome, their joys. I even enjoyed when they first got their driver's license. I mean, it's just, I was one of these parents who did not bawl or cry when our kids left for college because I knew they were going to learn a lot. They were going to have a wonderful experience, and for the most part, they did.
So, being able to see the purity of their expression.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
What's been the greatest challenge of raising kids?
To not yell at them.
Yeah.
I have to remember they're not adults. Well, they're not old adults. They are going to make mistakes, and it's sometimes hard to accept their mistakes. I remember Grandma Powell saying, I like you. No, she would say, I love you. I might not love what you do. And that's a good philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you're a good interviewer. You're getting me to talk more than I thought I would.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I try to ask good questions. Just stuff that's like not lame. I don't know. Things that make me think and feel deeper.
Yes.
Yeah. So has there been a time in your life where you went away from your faith since you were raised in Catholic school and all that?
No, I never went away from it. Was I a little weak at times? Yes, but nope, never wavered from it. There was a period when Mike and I got married and he was not Catholic. And one of his greatest gifts to me is he finally did become Catholic. But before that, he never stopped me from going to church, and I always went. I can remember being in college, walking in blizzards to get to church.
Yeah.
That's how much it meant to me.
Wow.
And that was after a night of partying too,
Oh,
on top
wow.
of it.
Look at you go, man.
It was,
What-
you just got to do it.
Being not Catholic myself,
Yes.
what is it like to be Catholic and to see the terrible things that happen at the higher levels of Catholicism with the Vatican and the Pope and such?
I know that everybody is human. You can be right next to God, but you're still human, and you're going to be flawed until you get up to heaven. And so I don't like it,
Of course.
but I think you just have to learn to move on. And in fact, your sister was one. What did she tell me? She said, love everybody and let God sort them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank Katie for that, because that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's good wisdom there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Catholicism teach that you are required to have an intermediary to talk to God? You have to talk to the priest who will talk to God for you?
Oh, no, you go directly to him. One of the things, and I think that's why the Catholic Church is losing members, they're falling away, is because the Catholic Church is disciplined. It has its rules. And I guess if I want to go see God, I need those rules, even though they're not always easy to follow.
What's one of those rules?
Oh, probably going to church every Sunday. That's not always easy.
Yeah.
Being in a state of grace, which is what you strive for.
Mm-hmm.
Even something simple as not eating meat on Friday during Lent, and sometimes it's difficult, but you can do it.
Yeah.
Put your mind to it. You can do it.
Yeah, definitely. So is the part where you have to do confession as a Catholic, is that consistent through Catholicism throughout your entire life?
Yes.
What are the rules behind that?
When I was little, confession is probably the hardest thing to do. I mean, when it came around to confession day in the Catholic school, it was like, oh boy. As I've gotten older, I realized, number one, I'm not telling the priest. Number two, I'm talking to God. And number three, if there's anybody in this world that can show mercy on a poor soul like me, it's God. And that's what I'm believing.
So even though you're talking to God and you're telling God these things, there is a priest right there listening to you.
Oh, yes. But his authority comes directly from God. And you got to remember, the Catholic Church is pretty old.
Yes. If it wasn't for the Catholic Church, most of the world wouldn't know how to read.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty interesting.
The missionaries, yep.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, what's Why do Catholics pray to Mary, or do Catholics pray to Mary? Maybe I have that wrong.
Mary and all the saints you might want to consider them intermediaries. They definitely are holy people. And I believe God put saints and the Blessed Mother as fine examples of how we should live. Mm-hmm. And you have to remember, like St. Paul, these saints weren't perfect.
Yeah.
But they suffered, and they did it for the right reason. And so they're kind of our examples. I'm at the point where I have St. Peregrine, who is the patron saint of cancer, and I will ask him to intercede with God.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I'd never heard that before.
Well, I hope I'm not saying anything against the church. Oh, dear God, don't come and haunt me. But
I think
this is
you're
just
fine.
what I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that there was a patron saint of cancer.
Yes, there is.
Okay. This next one's a tough one.
Yeah, you mean the last ones haven't been? Oh, dear.
Yeah. We're progressively climbing.
Okay.
The mountain gets steeper as we
All
go.
right, go ahead.
When your parents passed away,
Yes.
what had you done prior to that to prepare for that event?
Well, I probably did something that I shouldn't have. I recognized that they were old. I recognized that they had lived an extraordinary life. And I don't know if you're ever prepared for somebody dying. The fact that they were, not in their 40s made it a lot easier. I mean, they were both in their 90s, so they had an excellent life. That kind of was my consolation. And the other thing is my sister and I, for which I am eternally grateful, she came to Arizona to see them as often as she could, but she was there by the telephone calling me, giving me so much long distance support, and we pretty much we agreed on everything regarding our parents' health. There was, thank goodness, there was no bitterness between us. When it came time to divide up the estate, we knew our parents' wishes, and it made everything so much easier.
Good.
Yeah.
Was it more difficult to have them actually pass, or more difficult to watch them decline before they passed?
I think it was more difficult to watch them decline, though at the time you are so caught up in trying to do the best for their health care, and you just want to do the right thing. And I think even today, sometimes I'll think, oh, should I have done that? Did we do this? And that's again where my sister and I collaborated, and that was a great help. But the decline is difficult, but like I said, they were in their 90s, and they were the best parents a kid could have.
Yeah. They were healthy for a long time.
They were very healthy for a long time.
And now you just have a sister? Do you have other siblings?
No, just my sister.
And she older than you?
She's the baby. She's younger.
Okay.
And she's the one in New York.
And what's the age gap between you two?
3 years.
Right on.
She's the athletic one, and I'm the sit in the couch one.
The studious one?
Well, I don't know how studious, but I love to read. I do love to read.
Right on. What's your favorite book you've ever read?
Oh, there's so many. Each one gives you something. I'm a big fan of Patterson. I'm not very good at authors. Right now I'm reading one called Horse. Mm-hmm. And I just, I pick a book. If it sounds good, I read it.
Right on. And what's the genre that you prefer?
Oh, probably mysteries, though, again, faith-inspired books is coming more and more. As I get older, I tend to gravitate toward them.
Now, are these like novels that are faith-inspired or actual true stories?
Oh, a true story by far. Anything it's based on somebody's life, that's great. But it doesn't matter. Fiction, nonfiction.
What's a miracle that you've seen happen in your life?
A miracle. Well, the most recent that I can think of is one of our friends she lives in Illinois, and I never talked to her. I mean, maybe I've talked to her 3 times in 15 years on the phone. I called her the other day. I got this message, and she says, why don't you call her? I did. And by some chance, she said, Mary, I've been praying. Do you know what you do with this military form? She was about ready to throw it out. The DD-214, which I know that is about as sacred a document in the military as you can get. And I said, Pat, I think you were praying, and I'm your answer. Do not destroy that form. And again, out of the blue, I very seldom call her.
Wow, that's good.
So that was the most recent.
Right on.
And I think birth of your kids, I don't think there's anything I can top that with. And Jason was the one that had the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck.
I didn't realize that. My son did. My son did as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe, I don't know. But that he came out of it,
Wow. Well, yeah, my son was, my son's mom was having, she didn't feel him moving around very much. And so she went in to get checked. And then later that evening, they said, we got to get this kid out of you, because the cord was wrapped around his neck. And so when she would lay in a certain position, it would constrict. It would constrict him.
Aww.
And so she'd have to shift, and then so she couldn't get comfortable, or he would, die.
These are miracles.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible the way. And then just the week prior, she went in to get checked for the same thing. She didn't feel him moving around very much, and they said, "Oh, you're good," and then sent her home. So it was a pretty close call there. Well,
And that, again, that's right up there with priests. Doctors are only human.
Yeah.
If they're doing the best that they know how, that's why I told Michael, I said, if a doctor in my stage of illness makes a wrong diagnosis or treatment, I can't totally blame them. I mean, unless they do something dumb like leave something inside me during surgery. but we're all...
Yep.
None of us are gods on earth. Let's put it that way.
That's true. Now, going back to your cancer journey, what are when you found out you had cancer, what were some things that you did as far as lifestyle? Did you make any changes?
Well, once you start chemo, your life changes. I had surgery for the first time. I went from having one family doctor, and by the time I ended up, I think I'm on my doctor number 8 or something. I had never been in the hospital except for the birth of the kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of my record.
Wow, that's quite a record.
And then when I realized the size of that stupid appendix and how small it is, and I thought, well, you certainly caused a lot of havoc. For a little thing, you certainly caused.
So then, did they end up removing your appendix?
Oh, yes. I'm pretty well... appendix, ovaries, part of my colon. They cleaned me out pretty good.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so.
As far as dietary changes, did you change anything there?
Well, my oncologist, and I think maybe even the surgeon said something. And maybe it's because I'm stage 4. They said, eat whatever you want. Well, that's all they had to say. I don't know if he said avoid anything, but all I heard was eat whatever you want. And pretty much I do. I have decided, I don't know if this is right or not, but I've decided the quality of life is much better than being stuck in chemo.
Yeah.
Having multiple surgeries. I hope I have the strength to continue along that path. But, if I could live to be 99, but still I'm bedridden, I'm not so sure that's the route I want to go.
I understand. Now, did they give you a time frame?
Nope.
They just said that it's not going to go away.
It's not going to go away.
Okay.
And, I'm one of these people that I ask questions now more than I used to, but there are certain questions I don't want them to answer.
Yeah.
And my last visit, she said, we have people that have lived 10 years with a cancer diagnosis. And she said, you just don't know. Mm-hmm. And so I just take it day by day.
That's a good example.
I got you stumped. I've answered them all. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm out of questions.
I'm good. Huh? No, you were only supposed to come do Grandpa.
We made it through his whole list in 15 minutes or so. I didn't even ask half the questions. He just answered them as he was talking.
He tends to be very talkative.
That's good.
Well,
Well, it depends on who you are.
just tell me yes or no. Don't give me 5 hours of dissertation there. Yeah. Now, I got one for you. Is it hard to leave Arizona? Yes. Chris and you are all here. The people in this neighborhood have been just such good friends. But I think there's times in your life where you just have to go.
Yeah.
And I told somebody, I said, you know what? It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. Do it quick, get out of town.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss the weather. But on the other hand, if it's a blizzard, I don't have to go out anymore. I don't have to get to work. I don't have to shovel snow. I'm good.
There you go.
I'm good.
Right on. What are you most excited about getting back to Michigan?
Oh, just to be close to those grandkids.
Yeah.
They're just wonderful. And there's going to come a point where the grandkids are going to say, do we have to go see Grandma and Papa? So I want to get there before that happens. That's the goal.
Yeah, before their interests start expanding out into the world.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
Right on.
I'm looking forward to Christmas programs and birthdays. We've never been there for Ian's birthday. Never been there for Layla's and Adam's either. Now, this year we'll be there for Ava's because hers is in May. So I'm looking forward to that.
Very good. What is something that you, an attribute about yourself, a characteristic about yourself that you're proud of?
I am organized.
Awesome.
One attribute which I wish I had, which I don't, is I'm not very curious. And I think that's what kept my dad and mom going. They were very curious. My dad could ask 10 questions of somebody just to pick their brain.
Yeah.
I tend to take everything, okay, you don't want to do this, all right, face value. But I'm pretty organized.
Right on.
I enjoy life and I'm happy.
Other than reading, what is a hobby that you have?
Well, and I don't understand this. When the kids were young, I did needlework. Now that I'm old, I guess I don't have time for it, or I got too old. I don't know. Golf. I like my golf.
You golf?
Well, I don't know if somebody would call it that, but that's what I call it.
You go out there and you swing and you hit the thing sometimes. Okay.
Originally, it started because Mike would watch golf on TV. And I thought, oh, cripe, what's the excitement of that little ball going in the hole? Anybody can do that.
That does sound like quite a drag.
Yep, until you get out there.
Really?
And it is a challenge. It has a lot of rules. It's a true gentleman's sport. There's no fighting at the baseball game. There's no somebody doing something weird at the end zone in football. It's a true gentleman's sport.
I've never golfed before.
Well, I'm telling you, someday when you have 4 hours to kill,
Yeah.
actually, if you do 9 holes, you can do it in 2. But it's a kind of a peaceful sport.
Yeah.
And you usually golf with somebody. So I've golfed with people in their 90s who can hit that ball as straight as can be.
Oh, wow.
To me, now that's a miracle.
Yeah, that's.
But I enjoy it. Well, yeah. The first time I went out to golf, we went to the beautiful place in Upper Michigan. I'd never set foot on a golf course, and Mike dragged me to this golf course. Well, it is probably one of the hardest, most challenging, but it was so peaceful. Evergreens on both sides of the fairway. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
great.
beautiful. It's funny to be in Arizona and to see golf courses, because you've got everything around is brown and yellow and looks like dirt, and then you've got this bright green patch. I'm like, wow.
But isn't that a welcome oasis?
Yeah.
And we do the same thing in Michigan when we go and you can see the water because nobody's built condos in front of it.
Oh, yeah.
They should be like that.
Yes.
There should be more of them.
I agree.
You can repeat them. Maybe I'd give you a different answer this time. Who knows? I'm liable to.
Oh, man. How often do you have to do chemo treatments?
Well, when I get back to Michigan, I will be starting with a new chemo doctor. I am not sure. Normally, the routine is blood work, meet with the doctor or his physician assistant, and then go for your chemo treatment. And your chemo treatment lasts, and everybody gets a little different chemo based on their thing. I'm usually there about 3 hours of chemo, 3 to 4 hours of chemo.
And so chemo is intravenous medicine
Yes.
going through your bloodstream.
It's poison, yes.
Yes.
It is poison going through your bloodstream.
Okay,
Yes.
and so while this poison is going through your body, and what are you doing? Are you
Somebody asked me, they said, well, do you feel anything? And I said, nope. It's painless, and you just watch the drip, 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 drip. But I can during it, I can read, I can do games on my iPad. I can visit with anybody. My last visit was so cool. I had a nurse from Michigan, of all places. So yeah.
it's kind of like sitting in a waiting room, just kind of occupying your time until it's time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then when you get home, it'll be 2 to 3 days later. I usually come home very, very tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes my stomach's upset, sometimes not. It's all a new experience.
And how long do those symptoms usually go on for?
Yeah, about you want to say, usually it takes a good week to get back on par. They just have lowered my dose in chemo, which has allowed me to do the move. I mean, I have not been that sick that I couldn't pack a box, which
Awesome.
I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do they have a specific name for this cancer?
Appendicea carcinoma.
Okay.
And then peritoneal cavity. There again, the less I know, the better. It
Right.
keeps me in a more positive frame
Right
of
on.
mind.
Right on. Okay.
I did ask, because we're moving to Michigan, for a copy of my records, thinking they would need the paper copy. Mm-hmm. I have about 200 pages.
Good grief! As far as just different appointments and blood work and treatments, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have not looked at it. It was my history. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there.
It's
It's
just-
there if I get
it's
really
just-
curious. But see, there again, I'm
Well,
not that curious person.
Yeah, and you don't need to look at. There's no need to look
No.
at it.
No.
But, well,
I don't need to make myself sad. I'd rather stay happy.
yeah.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So, have you ever been in a fight, like a fist fight?
No.
Oh.
And I think that comes from going to a Catholic school and high school. Nuns pretty much frowned on that kind of thing, and you knew better.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's one thing I wish I had done more of, is appreciate my teachers more. I liked them all. They were just unbelievable.
And where did you go to Catholic school?
In Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah,
And this
in
is near Detroit?
It's actually in the town of New Baltimore.
Okay.
We had a great routine. I would walk to school, pick up one of my girlfriends. We would go and stop at the corner bakery, which was run by a German family, get our donut, and then hop over to school.
Nice.
It was a nice routine.
Freshly made donuts, probably.
Freshly
Huh?
made,
Awesome.
yes, absolutely. And I think I always remember one of my nuns saying, and at the time we didn't have very complimentary terms for her, because we always thought she was probably in her 80s, which I'm not so sure she wasn't. But I remember she said, "We will destroy ourselves from within our country." And haven't we done that?
Yeah, we are certainly doing that right now. And that's one of the bigger reasons that I am doing this podcasting thing is to try and bring awareness to what people are doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, what was that probably? She said that probably in the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah, this wasn't recent. I mean,
Good
I was
grief.
in high school in 1960. I graduated in 1967. So
being in high school in the 60s, you have had a lot of exposure to the hippies?
New Baltimore is probably a pretty isolated town. We didn't even lock our doors till I was 16 years old. I mean,
Okay.
it was a wonderful place to grow up. I don't remember too much of the hippie movement. I would say I was probably a very naive child.
Okay, so you weren't really around it, you weren't a
No.
hippie yourself.
I do remember two things. One, when Detroit had the riots and a lot of the places where you could buy alcohol were closed, I remember streams of cars coming into New Baltimore, because there we were in the suburbs. You could buy all the alcohol you wanted. The other thing I remember is one day at the junior college, there was protesters, and by that I mean there was a group of about 7 people. So nowhere near as militant as the people are today, and
Wow.
thank goodness. That's
Yeah.
why I said we had, when you're growing up, you don't think you have a great childhood,
Yeah.
but boy,
Then you see contrast.
a lot of contrast,
So,
lot of contrast.
What would you say is the biggest issue facing the next generation of our country right now?
I think that people have to learn to get along with one another. I think they have to stop attacking people who don't think like they do. I think they have to realize that, their ideas might be different than yours, but you can learn something from them. I don't know why there's so much hatred. We live in one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Well, personally, I think that's part of why, is because we have so much beauty and so much luxury and excess. People don't have a lot of real genuine problems. People don't necessarily have to struggle to eat. You got to go to work and things like that, but there's so much abundance here that it seems to me that the natural process of having an obstacle to overcome doesn't exist. So people create obstacles. And I think that's part of it.
They take things for granted.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Grandma. This has been really nice.
Well, I want to thank you, Andy, both for the side coming for posterity, from Grandpa and I, and just it was a pleasure having you here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. We will destroy ourselves from within our country. And haven't we done that?